Well, I just pulled up to our local hardware store, Home Depot, in hopes of finding a paint match for my antique Gottschalk dollhouse. Let's see how this goes. I'll take you along for the shop. So that big deep crack that's along the back of the dollhouse can't be fixed with glue and clamps, otherwise I'm going to destroy the house. So I'm here in the wood filler section, and I think I'm going to go with this Elmer's wood filler. The nice thing about it is I can match the back of the house fairly well. So now I'm with Bill in the paint department. I know Bill quite well because I've done lots of home renovations, and he's mixed many a can of paint for me. So the machine that's sitting on top of the side of the dollhouse is actually a paint matching machine. So he's scanning it into the computer to try and match the brick in the bottom. And he's just showing me here on the computer the color that he's going to be able to mix up for me. So they do everything all digitally. It's quite amazing. So here's a paint chip that's fairly close to my paint color, but not exactly my paint color. So he's custom mixed my paint. And the main ingredient in it is this yellow iron oxide. And he's just shaking it up and showing me this is what goes in the actual machine to mix it. And it's not a color that's used very often, he says. So he has to refill the machine. So that's actually the paint mixing machine right there, where all of the paints are mixed together to make any tone or color for your home. So not typically, I think I'm the first person that's brought in an old dollhouse for him to look at. But you can see here that's kind of the one of the basic colors that he's going to use to mix in. So yeah. And he put it up against the house. Too close to the house there, Bill. But anyways, he's such a nice guy. He's worked there for, 15 or 16 years since retirement. It's kind of nice the Home Depot likes to employ people that are retired tradespeople. And you can see here it's like sienna and then that color. And also it's got some violet in it, which I'm actually surprised. So this is the color that we came up with. I'm quite pleased with it. It is a little bit different than the sample that I found, so I'm glad that he was able to custom mix it for me. It looks pretty good. So I'm back home now, and I'm just see the very big gap that cannot be fixed. Like if I put glue and clamps on it, it would just make the house break somewhere else. So it's a lot easier for me to fill this. And when I'm done, you won't even be able to tell that it's been filled. So I've just put wood filler in it and just gently wiped it off with my fingertip. I'm not going to go after it with any sandpaper or anything like that because I don't want to be too aggressive with it. But yeah, I think it'll do pretty good. There's also a crack in the center, so I might as well get that done at the same time. So you can see here I'm using my fingertip to just kind of smooth it in. And if nothing else, it's good because I don't want light leaking when the light is on in the dollhouse. So it's aesthetically a lot more appealing to have these cracks be gone. So, but once again, I want to be really sensitive to the fact that this dollhouse is like 140 years old. So you don't want to do anything to really alter it cosmetically. So and that's not my intention. Like, I would never have a dollhouse like this and then put all brand new wallpaper or repaint the whole thing, because I think that that will affect the value of it. Like, I'm just feel like I'm a custodian of this house, and someday someone else will own it and will appreciate the care and attention that I'm trying to give it, and not alter its authenticity at all, but rather do what I can to repair it or restore it in a way that's gentle. Sometimes antiques are just too far gone and you really can't do much with them. But in this case, we still got really super good bones to this house. And I love the fact that everything inside of it is completely original. So here's the little railing that I made, and I'm painting that that color that Bill mixed up for me. These little spindles are actually the kind of spindles that you can buy for dollhouse stairways or staircases. So I just cut them down to less than half the size because they were 1/12 scale. But I think they do a pretty good job of replicating the railings that would have been on this house originally. It's hard to say exactly what the original railings did look like, because the only other house that's just like mine that I've found are obviously been replaced, like in modern times. So I think that this is actually pretty good. I think it's better than the other restore that I've seen online. But I mean, that's just my humble opinion. So yeah, so I mean, I have to do a few coats on it because there's so many little nooks and crannies, and you don't want to miss any pieces, because once it's installed on the house, I don't want to have to paint it again. So now I'm doing the little banister on the, I don't know what you call it, the little spindle on the front porch. For the front porch, I actually completely watered down my brush. So this is like completely watered down version of the paint. I didn't use it straight up like I did on the upper veranda railing. So what I'm doing is I'm using watered down paint, and then I'm taking paper towel and I'm wiping it back. Because remember, this is the piece that I'm going to try my very best to match the existing piece. So I'm just painting it on and then wiping it off so that you can see a little bit of the wood grain, although there isn't much wood grain to this type of wood. But yeah, I'm just kind of wiping it back. So I believe this wood that I'm using is pine, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's pine though. It's very it's a soft wood. So so as you can see, like, I'm really not being too heavy-handed about it. I just want to make sure that it's totally covered, but at the same time, I don't want it on there thick. And that's the little veranda piece that goes into the corner of the little front porch. And once again, this piece has to match exactly what's already on the house. And oh my goodness, like it's a little difficult, and I guess I can go back to the drawing board and redo it if it doesn't turn out well. So everything is not installed, but I've got it kind of set there, so you can see the color difference between the original trim and the new trim. So I'm quite pleased with the way that looks so far. Yeah, it's not too bad. I really like the way the porch looks now, like the upper porch. My clever friend at Little Gretchen's workshop mixes rubbing alcohol with acrylic paint. So I used two different kinds of acrylic paint and rubbing alcohol, and brushed it on and then quickly wiped it off with a paper towel. And I think I've got a success there. Look at that. It's a really good match in my opinion. I mean, it isn't exact, but boy, that's pretty close. Initially, I was going to dry brush it, but I think this approach worked much better. That looks really good. So I haven't glued anything on yet, but that's what she looks like so far. And originally there was like red on these posts, so to kind of bring it together, I took a little paint marker and I went around where the red used to be and kind of highlighted it a little bit. So, and I think it makes the two sides match just a little bit better, just that little added touch. So I'm quite pleased with the outcome. I am not going to do the wash on the upper porch. I'm just going to leave it as is, but I am quite pleased with the outcome. I think it looks pretty good. And here's the back. I used that same paint to cover where I put the wood filler. And, you know, that paint was such a good match that you can barely tell where my paint strokes are. I'm actually really pleased. I think that it looks good. I'm really happy with this house. I feel so blessed to be able to be the caretaker. Well, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that like button. And thank you to everyone that's bought me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. I cannot believe how kind and generous you guys are.